All right, good morning and welcome to this video on the topic of projectile motion. So I will have some, concept-oriented talk on projectile motion. So in projectile motion, when you attempt the questions, the first thing you see is the trajectory, which is a y displacement and x displacement, and what you see is a trajectory of the projectile. Now, one of the key concept you have to apply in projectile motion is the fact that x and y are two mutually independent events, right? Or displacements. So x, there is no acceleration. So acceleration is zero. But y, you have an acceleration of gravity, which is always downwards. Now, the crux is that the time of flight, right, the time for which the projectile remains in air is decided by motion, the y-axis motion, which is a uniformly accelerated motion due to gravity. So when you start working on the projectile, always remember the time duration for which the projectile will remain in air is dictated by the y-axis kinematic variables. So t is very important. T is not dictated by the horizontal part of the motion. T is always dictated by the vertical part of the motion, which is this, right? So just be very careful that when you solve these numericals, you have clear sense that time, is being calculated with the help of y-axis. This step is very, very important, and this strategy is very important. X has no role to play in deciding the time of flight, and that also shows up in the derivation. So whenever you're trying to work out the time, always split the motion in x and y, and then concentrate on y, because y motion, under the influence of gravity, decides the time of flight. So if you have another projectile, two projectile motions being compared, or for example, if you have another projectile which is fired and they meet at a certain point, right? This point, this is where they meet, and they were shot, together simultaneously. So when they meet, the time of flight would have been same. So concentrate on y-axis motion, as your first step to decide the, so to say, the air travel time of the projectile. How long does it stay in the air before it hits the ground here and here? So this will be, t, and this will also be t, at the point of collision, right? So y motion has a lot of weightage in projectile motion as compared to the x motion. Thank you very much.